Hollis Scarborough's rope is a real similar kind of thing. I think that initially all that Hollis intended to do was to actually expand a bit on the simple view so that people would understand that, yeah, word reading and language are important. And why don't we break that down and talk about what goes into those, components? And, oh, gee, what about phonemic awareness? And what about decoding ability? And so that was what that was about. She went back, most versions of that people know is her, I think, 2002 version.
Yeah.
And it does a very good job of what it tries to do. But even, she went back 7 or 8 years later and revised it, didn't change it in any, what I would call, substantially important way. She added some components to the list that research had identified as being important between, say, 2002 and 2009.
That's science, isn't it? I like the phrase, when you know better, you do better. And that's what science really is evolving. And I imagine from, like you said, some of this work is 20, 30, 40 years old. Like, there's been bodies of research that have helped to improve what we know about how children learn to read.
Sure. I mean, the basic notion of the simple view was that, it was more of a hypothesis. The hypothesis was that if you could recognize the words, if you could decode them, if you could somehow figure out what the words were, and you could read it aloud, then listening comprehension would take over.
Right.
If you could already comprehend things through that language mode by listening, then all that reading is that ability to decode.
Yeah.
Goff and his colleagues weren't the first people to hypothesize that. It's just that they put it in an elegant mathematical formula, and which caught people's attention. But it was really never intended for practitioners. It wasn't this is how you need to teach reading. It was a cognitive view of what does it take to read with comprehension. And the notion was maybe there's nothing special about comprehension. Maybe comprehension is just our normal oral language, and therefore the only thing that's special about reading. And that's what makes it simple. It's just, wow, you just have to worry about word reading.